Today I'm going to create my own sort of take off Starry Night, the Van Gogh masterpiece. And although it is a great masterpiece and Van Gogh is a brilliant artist, there's a lot about it that's not all that hard to do. So to start with, I'm going to create a guideline for that sort of hill that he had because the landscape was sloped. I know that I'm going to want something tall over on this side in place of the cypress trees that Van Gogh had. He had the moon right about here, so I draw a light circle for the moon, and the village was down below right about here. And of course, that famous iconic swirl across the sky that went across here. The key is to just focus in on what are the different major shapes in the composition overall, and then create variations based on that. So maybe for this tall figure, instead of the cypress tree, maybe I'm going to change that to a nice big snowman. Maybe I'll give it the old top hat. Carrot nose. All that standard snowman stuff. Scarf, because apparently my snowman wants to keep warm. Not really sure how a scarf would keep a snowman warm or why it would want to be warm. Maybe my snowman just wants to melt. I'm going to keep the moon in the sky. The key with doing a good variation on a famous work of art is to recognize that some elements need to be kept the same. So I'm going to keep the starry sky, but maybe I'm going to change the village into an icy pond. And maybe I'll put a little igloo down here. And maybe I'll make a little penguin next to that. Because penguins, as we all know, are awesome. So now that I've sketched it all out, I'm basically ready to color. I'm going to outline in Sharpie and then color with oil pastels. Now that I've colored it in with Sharpies, I'm ready to color with my oil pastels. I'm going to start off by making little bits of a lighter blue on the ground. And I'm going to outline a little igloo. I'm going to give a nice darker shadow on the edges of my snowman. I'm going to mix in a little bit of purple onto those edges. And now I'm going to use a little bit of white over that, spreading the blues and purples as I go. And generally I want to make a lot of sort of circular movements. So I'm going to start off spreading those colors around. By going over it and then spreading it, I create a good sort of gradient on there. Might mix in a little bit of purple into the shadows on here. Just to darken that. I'm going to put a few streaks of red in as well. just like to add a little pop of some different and sometimes some unexpected colors. So I'm going to add a little bit of pink in there. Now I'm going to color the ground. And since this is for square one, I'm going to just punch up the contrast a little bit. I'm going to add in some darker streaks to make sure that everything stands out nicely. I might add a little bit of shadow on the ground. Emphasize that horizon line, put a few more streaks into that swirling sky, some darker streaks to emphasize some of the brighter spots like the stars, all that good stuff. And there you have it, in just a few minutes, my very own sort of take on Van Gogh.